Welcome to r/confessions. Today we have 3 stories for you. Story number 1. I once beat the hell out of my paternal uncle, and I'm not sorry. I'm a 38-year-old woman, and this incident happened when I was 24. My uncle, my dad's younger brother, is a misogynistic piece of shite. He often catcalls women and gets mad when they don't open their legs for him. He does this even though he's married. Any woman who has been sexually assaulted was asking for it. A woman who pursued higher education or had a high-powered job was going to end up an old maid. A woman asserting herself was automatically a biatch in his mind. When I was growing up, he had often bullied me for being interested in martial arts, comic books, etc. Because that's for boys. He would often ask, "Are you trying to be a boy?" And the other family members, including my own parents, would laugh, as if it was a joke. And don't even get me started on his homophobia. 14 years ago, I was attending university to get my master's degree while working. My uncle's friend's son attended the same college. He had asked me out several times, but I always turned him down. At times he would get on my nerves. He wouldn't take no for an answer, and I had to tell him to frick off. My uncle kept insisting that I give him a chance. One day, my uncle invited me to his place on the pretext of helping my aunt with something. When I got there, my aunt wasn't there, but the guy who had been pursuing me was. My uncle laughed like he had played this awesome prank and told me I needed to spend time alone with the guy so I'd see how great he is. For a second, I froze, but then flight or fight kicked in, and I ran out of the house. My uncle yelled at me to come back. The creep, the guy who had been pursuing me, ran out after me. He caught up to me, but I had already taken the pepper spray out of my purse. I sprayed him right in the eye. Then I went to a police station and filed a complaint. I later found out that the guy had filed an assault complaint against me too. But in the past, several women had accused him of inappropriate behavior. The cops didn't take any action against me. The university was notified of his attempt to assault me, and he was kicked out. My uncle was livid when this happened and came to my apartment to confront me. He told me I had ruined an innocent man, that I was a tease who leads men on. He told me that too much education had ruined me. At the time, I was already dealing with a lot of shite, and I freaking lost it. I yelled at my uncle and asked if he had been paid by the guy to set me up with him. I asked if he was planning to sell me out. He said something like, "Disrespectful biatch" to me, and that's when I landed the first blow. My fist connected with his nose, and blood began to pour out of it. I didn't stop. I kept on hitting him. He tried to hit back, but I was way quicker. I've been an avid kickboxer since my teenage years, and have also had training in jiu-jitsu, so that gave me an edge. And of course, I was being powered by pure rage. I kept raining down kicks and punches on that pathetic excuse for a human being, and it felt good. So good. I think I kept on beating him for over 10 minutes. He landed a few blows on me too, but in those moments, I was unfazed. I was determined to teach that piece of garbage a lesson he would never forget. Every crappy thing he had ever said and done to me kept replaying in my mind. My knuckles were soon painted red, and his face was sore and bruised. I kicked him in the kneecap many times, and I did some serious damage. By the time I was done, he was on the floor, holding his bloody nose. I later found out it was broken. He whined, called me every name in the book, and made several failed attempts to get up. When he finally did get up, I told him to go wash off his blood and get the frick out, and to never come to my place again. He did. I knew he wasn't going to press charges, as that would mean admitting that he was beaten bloody by a girl. The sexist a-hole would rather die than let that happen. I don't think he ever told anyone about it. The only person I've told about this is my boyfriend. Thankfully, the building I lived in wasn't too populated, and I didn't have any immediate neighbors who could hear the commotion. Ever since then my uncle goes out of his way to avoid me. Whenever I think about it, it makes me smile. Here's the first comment. I'm a 32-year-old father of a soon-to-be 4-year-old little girl who loves X-Men, Spider-Man, Beast Wars, Star Wars, Dragon Ball Z, playing on a computer, and told me she wants to do computers when she grows up. Just like daddy. I have a 7-year-old niece who is the same way, and one niece in utero. Found out yesterday another girl. I've heard inklings of the existing. That's boy stuff thus far, and it does piss me off. She wants to be a butt kicker girl now. Super Saiyan Kefla from Dragon Ball Super. I think we'll be signing her up for martial arts in a year or so. My wife fears going out by herself. I don't want my daughter to have that same fear. Here's the next comment. I recently confronted a paternal uncle who got in bed with me as a child and who has been a complete POS ever since, up to and including trying to disown his own child to avoid paying support and stealing thousands of dollars from my demented grandfather. He didn't even freaking deny it. Watching him freeze and panic when he realized I still remembered what he did and could destroy him by going public with it was so rewarding, but I still wish I could beat the shite out of him like you did. Good on you. Here's the next comment. He sounds like a total pig. Unfortunately, the butt puppet probably hasn't changed his ways. Good job for sticking up for yourself. Here's the next comment. Inspiring story. Hate you had to deal with that a-hole, but you did humanity a solid with those solid blows. Good for you, and hope you always feel pride, not guilt in the service you did. Here's the next comment. If I could give you a high five and a hug. My god. It's not just a personal victory. Shite like this is so empowering. Men like that get away with so much shite, and the minute a woman decides she's not going to take it, oh, dear god, how dare she. You're my hero. Story number 2. Cashier confession. I work as a cashier in a big box grocery store that also sells home and apparel. Here are some things you need to know. The conveyor belt you put your groceries on is dirtier than you think. Don't put wet produce on the belt, and if you do, wash your produce immediately when you get home. There have been multiple COVID cases in multiple departments of my store. Your cashiers are now gone due to positive tests and exposure, and others are scared to come into work due to risk of exposure. Sanitize everything when you get home. Multiple hands have touched the items that go onto our shelves, and I don't just mean customers and employees. It is company policy at my store to not enforce mask usage onto customers. We may ask them if they would like a mask provided by an employee, but they are also free to continue into the store if they refuse. We have no paid sick leave if we test positive, unless we have the hours accumulated to do so. Cashiers can get in trouble for refusing service to someone who is not wearing a mask. The union cannot back us up on this, the last I heard. Be careful out there. Story number 3. I was sexually assaulted in 7th grade, and only 3 people know, and I'm losing my mind. In 7th grade, I was in weight training and PE like your average student. It was a fairly large room, since there was a combined total of 3 classes that had PE at the same time. Now, the PE coaches had that glass wall, so they could watch us and make sure that we were all safe. But there was one area that couldn't be seen, and this is the bathroom/alternate exit of the room. Now in 7th grade, and even now, I was a scrawny skinny kid, but also very short. I was the constant target of bullies and jokes, but I got used to it. However, one day I was forced outside by a group of friends and forced to suck a kid's wanker or be beaten up badly. It was a horrible traumatic experience, and I hate myself for not just taking the beating. It would have been better if I had, because then I wouldn't live with this humiliation. After this happened, they looked at me and threatened that if I ever squealed at all, I would be beaten bad to the point of being in a hospital. So, I did what any nerd kid would do and chose to just suppress the memories of this and move on. But some things you just can't forget. I'm now a senior in high school, and the only details I remember about it perfectly, there were 6 kids there. The main guy who dropped his pants was the popular black kid in another class, and I only mention he is black because he was, and it's a detail I remember. I didn't know any of them. I never did report this to anyone out of fear. I didn't even bother learning their names because I figured it would help me move past it. Not even my own family knew of what had happened to me. I clammed up. What drives me crazy is that I should have reported it and gotten them all arrested, but I didn't, and it's far too late now. I don't remember who this a-hole was, and honestly, I'm not in fear anymore. I don't sit here wallowing in pity about what happened. I don't get afraid from crowds of people anymore, and I never ever blamed it on his skin color or associated it with his skin color. Now there was a time period, around 2 months, that I was uncomfortable around gay guys because of this experience, and I'm not proud of this at all. It was in no way those people's fault. So I'm also formally apologizing here for that. To any gay people I may have offended for this reason. Now comes the part that has driven me crazy. My sisters constantly told me that I never feared being sexually assaulted or sexually assaulted. However, I do know, and the fact that I'm a guy is the only reason they tell me that they constantly tell me this. I feel like I'm invalidated consistently. I was told that men are trash by them every day, with my younger one even saying kill all men. What did I do to deserve this? I was sexually assaulted, and somehow, I'm the trashy one. P.S. I have also been sexually assaulted by a girl, but this was in freshman year, and not really relevant, but it still sucked rear end. Here's the first comment. I was molested by a childhood babysitter, and yeah, it basically made me numb to a lot of sexual things that should have been new experiences for me later in life. It's fricked up, because I was so young, I don't even remember much about her, just that it happened. I never told anyone outside of 2 really close friends. I feel like I'd be laughed at, or told that I enjoyed it, because I'm a guy. Here's the next comment. Geez, that's horrible. I thought being groped by my friend was bad, but this is just horrible. I really feel bad for you. Honestly though, I probably wouldn't have gone with the beating either. You need to realize that those people were horrible to you, and that you didn't deserve that at all. Please don't hurt yourself over this. It's not worth it. You were really brave to post this, even though it was to a bunch of strangers. Here's the next comment. I'm sorry that happened to you. It's awful. Several guys are told that they must have enjoyed it. One 11-year-old. When there was a report about his case, he was sexually assaulted by a woman who said she did it to feel power/control. People said he would have enjoyed it because he's a man. But that child cut himself from the experience. Hope you feel better now. Thanks for listening.